What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Comics Grind YouTube channel. I'm one of your hosts, Nico Rodriguez.
And I'm Ken, aka Comic Ken on YouTube.
Mr. Ken, man, how's it going this week? What you been up to?
Pretty good. I've just been up to drawing my comic and going to work. That's pretty much it.
That's that's the life, man. That's the life. Success.
They are close to it. Yeah, that's how it feels right now.
So you're right now you're working on number 3, right?
Yeah, issue number 3 of Air Rider. That's what I'm working on. I'm on page uh 10. So
Nice.
yeah.
How's it been? Have you been trying to pencil and ink a page a day? Are you trying to do that, or are you kind of on a different pace?
No, actually, I looked at this video by Trent Caniuga. Um, he does like the Creed comics and he does like indie game dev on YouTube. And he showed a schedule for 10 pages of a comic book. And there was one day in the he had 10 pages for a full month. So it was like 4 weeks, 10 pages. And in one day he would pencil 10 pages, and then the rest of the time he would use to ink the pages and color them. And I was like, oh, that's weird. So I tried to do the same thing, and I only got to 2 pages per day. So um,
So wait, he penciled 10 pages in one day?
yeah, I don't think they were like super detailed, but he put more of the time and effort into inking them.
So it's
So
probably almost like he was. It seems to me like he was almost like thumbnailing those things, right?
yeah, something like that. I think he would do it digitally and then blow it up and then ink over it in detail.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah, I
drawing.
mean that's yeah. I guess it's a little different if you're thumbnailing, scanning that in, then inking digitally. I can certainly see how that could be faster. Yeah, yeah. But you're doing everything on the boards, right?
Yeah, I'm doing board work right now. Like, and I feel like the best I get the best um work when I do it late at night, or anytime after 9:30 is when I'm starting to make all those connections almost like subconsciously. I'm drawing better than I usually do. So if I ink, it's during the day, and I'll pencil at night.
Okay. So the goal is to get to 10 pages in 4 weeks. Kind of your goal to get where you can get somewhere like that. Is that that's what you said, right? Yeah, yeah. 10 pages in 4 weeks.
Yeah, that was what Trent was doing, but I'm just going pencils day by day, and then inks, then colors, and then letters. So
Okay, okay. So you like this thing where you're penciling everything first and then inking everything.
yeah, yeah,
Mm.
actually, because I see other like creators, webcomic creators, they'll do 2 pages per week or 3 pages per week, and I don't think I can take. I don't want to do the whole process and then restart the whole process every few days. I want to, if I'm penciling, pencil all the way through, ink all the way through, and that way I have momentum with each step of the process.
Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. I'm a little different in that regard. So for me, I'll thumbnail probably about 10 pages out on sticky notes. I'll give myself like a good roadmap for everything, and then my thing is, I think I've probably mentioned it before, but my thing is I either pencil or ink a page a night, right? So I'm kind of alternating as opposed to where you know you're going pencil everything then ink everything, because I'm kind of like, man, I'm like when I pencil, I want to go right into inking afterwards because I want to feel like I'm finished with that page, and I can move on to the next. Whereas if I'm just, I'll pencil maybe 2 to 3 pages and then ink those three, but probably no more than that because I feel like I want to get it done. I want to get that page done, move on to the next one. But then whenever it comes to painting, like painting, I kind of separate those. So I have like a month of pencil inks, and then like 2 to 3 weeks of just painting. So that's kind of where I'll separate it. But yeah, it's a process.
Right.
And it's
So,
pretty. Go ahead.
oh, is that what you've been doing with the week?
Yeah. My week. So yeah, like I said, my goal at the end of the week is 2.5 pages. Because
Right.
two and a half pages means that I'm either penciling or inking a page every day. So if I hit that 2.5 page goal by the end of Friday, I'm super happy. And if I get over that, if I put a little extra work in some of those days and get 4 to 5 pages, then I'm ecstatic. But I really do, that goal setting in indie comics, especially when you're not full time, I think that's like the absolute key to getting stuff done. If you set yourself at 2.5 pages a week, that gets you what? It gets you a 24-page book done in, where's my math? 8 weeks, something like that. No, 3.
In a couple months or so, right? Yeah, I would say in a
Yeah.
couple months.
So I mean, it's like, if you, it's all about that steady progress. You get those 2 pages done one week. All right, so you got 2. Next week you got 4. Next week you got 6. There you go. You're a fourth of the way done with a 24-page book.
Right.
Takes a while, but you'll get there. But the thing that kills it is like, then you got to go back through and color it, and then you gotta letter it or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it's been good, man. But yeah, that's good. That's good that we're being productive, keeping each other accountable. Baseball season just started today as of this recording, so I'm super happy about that. That's the best drawing background noise for me, so happy about that. But other than that, man, so what do you want to talk about today? We got a good main topic on the docket. What is it?
Yeah, like we were discussing a little bit earlier. I was thinking about niches versus mainstream topics or mainstream genres for indie creators.
Okay. So what's your kind of big take on it? Are you someone that's more niche driven in terms of your work? Or are you trying to kind of appeal to a broader audience?
I'm trying to appeal to the broadest audience that my niche will allow me to. So really, I'm trying to. If somebody looks at my work, if somebody looks at my comic book, it's already going to turn off a lot of people just based off of the artwork and how it looks. Superhero fans might be into it, but then people who are into, let's say, webtoons that look super anime, made by Koreans, all that, they might be like completely turned off from the art style that I'm putting out. So I'm trying to find my people who are so into the art style that I'm doing or so into what I'm trying to create that they become super fans of my work and will buy whatever I put out. Because
Yeah.
I can't attract everybody, but I can attract the right people and speak directly to them. Because that's how I bought my favorite comics in the past. Like it felt like the comic was speaking directly to me as a fan.
Gotcha. See, I almost feel like your stuff would certainly appeal to that manga kind of anime crowd. You don't think so? Because
Not
I feel like it has like that same kind of energy about it for sure.
Mhm.
Um, Almost like that very animated style that we do see in a lot of anime and manga. Um, but I think that that's a niche in itself, right?
Yeah, because not everyone that's into anime will be into American comics. and vice versa.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I can totally see that. But I mean, I'm thinking like, you know, I've always wondered the balance, right? Because, if you do a book or a story or you have a style that appeals to the mass audience, what kind of success does that mean in the indie game compared to if you're doing something that's more niche? Because, there's that saying that we've heard and I've heard many creators say, it's not about getting, 200,000 fans. It's
Mhm.
about getting that 1,000 diehard fan. So like with that comes like that specialty in the niche. If you're doing, the most, weird looking style of something, with an interesting kind of different plot, that's not going to appeal to everybody. But if you appeal directly to that 1,000 people that's going to say, hey, I will give $50 up for that hardcover every time you come up with it every year,
Yeah.
you know, right there, you're getting 50 grand a year, you're getting a livable salary,
Yep.
so I've always wondered, like the good, obviously, like, if you, look at my work and kind of look at my stuff, I'm certainly targeting more towards like, hey, like that indie cartoonist vibe. I've got watercolors, I've got, different stuff that you won't see in, on the, smack dab in the middle of the newsstands.
Right.
But I've certainly kind of directed my cartooning to that, but at the same time, I'm doing my stuff and I'm like, man, is this going to appeal to people? Enough people? Do you ever kind of think about that?
Yeah, I look at the most famous guys doing the kind of style or the similar things to what I'm doing, so that I can just look and see what kind of audience is already looking at the work in my own style, and then see what can I do to entice them over to my side, and take a look at my work, um, join different communities that are into the kind of things that I like, and then not advertising there, but talk to them about the things that we enjoy because we have those things in common, so that when I do put something out that's similar to what everyone else likes in the group, then they can take a look and be like, oh, okay, this is similar, this is in line with what we all like, so let's check out Air Rider or let's check out that comic.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think finding those groups like online and stuff. I don't know how to do it, but they're out there. There's groups for everything, and kind of reaching out to those out to those groups. But I mean, for me, I haven't quite harnessed the ability to kind of like network online like that to kind of build the audience. I do somewhat, with the Instagram and stuff. I need to get better at it. I mean, I think a lot of us indie cartoonists can get better at that stuff.
Yep.
Um, but where I do see value, especially for me, um, in doing shows, for example,
Right.
this past weekend, I was at Comics Art San Antonio, Casa Art Show, in San Antonio, obviously. One day show, Saturday show, super cool, really cool venue. It was kind of like in like a shopping mall type of thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was pretty cool because they set up the tables, and then you have people that are there for the comic stuff, but then people that are kind of walking around shopping,
Oh,
at the stores were there too. So we had a pretty good amount of traffic, but you know, so for me, like I had my, pages of West Not South, the graphic novel I'm working on, and I had a sample proof print, that I had gotten, because I was still waiting for the actual prints to come in, and I put that kind of like smack dab in the middle of my table to kind of see um, who kind of gravitated towards it, just kind of like a litmus test. I had my other books and some other like fan art type things and doing some sketches and stuff too, but um, I kind of wanted to litmus test it, just kind of see if people were drawn to it.
Right.
And man, I'll tell you, I got a great reception from it. And it was fantastic because I've been doing this stuff or doing this book for probably over 6 months now, kind of holed up at my art table, drawing, painting, and doing everything, um, to finally see people gravitate. And I think it was, just kind of assessing the people that came there and what they said about it. I think it was, um, the niche or the niche that I'm kind of going for. One guy came up and he was like, "Man, like this book looks so fun. It's got this cartoony state, but it's got like this kind of dreamy um, feel to it, because of the colors and stuff."
Right.
So I mean that was like music to my ears, because that's kind of like exactly what I'm kind of going for. So
Yeah.
it was nice to kind of see people check it out and be like, oh, that's the niche that I'm looking for, um, and they were responding well to it. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, just to kind of get back to the original point, what I was saying is kind of like, there's for the creators out there, the indie guys out there that are trying to maybe do something that's more niche, you know, those shows and those physical encounters and interactions that you can get with other fans, other creators, and everything at shows, it's huge, man. It's huge. I think it, for me, I think it stretches further than trying to gather that stuff online. Online, obviously, you need to do it, but if you're doing something different and a little weird, and bring it out to some shows, man, and start showing people and just kind of see what people are saying about it. They'll usually give you, at minimum, they'll give you, the positive reaction that they would have. Maybe not everybody's going to say the negative stuff, but they're, because you're there and they're in your face. But
Right.
they'll certainly give you some feedback on like what they're being drawn to, and it might validate your project a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I look for when I'm looking for the people in my niche is the kind of keywords that they use when they're talking about what they like about things that are similar. So I'll go to, like, let's say Cartoon Network 2005 C bumpers. So it's like these little commercials where all the characters were in a city, in a 3D city, where they were all like interacting with each other and whatnot. And those all happened in the Y2K era, like the early 2000s. And then people were really into that. And the people that were into it, all in the comment section, they were all saying, like, oh, this has so much soul to it. This has so much creativity and aliveness to it. And I would keep scrolling and scrolling, and I would see, like, soul, creativity, like, repeated over and over. Like, I want to go back. I want to go back to those times. I want to go back to that nostalgia. It's these, like, keywords and feelings that people want to experience again. So I'm thinking, like, okay, how do I take that feeling that's in that video and then transport it over to my comic so that I can get the same effect.
Yeah, yeah, and that makes me think of another thing about like finding those niches, um, and kind of combining that with keywords. I don't know how you feel about like when you're pitching your book, saying it's this meets that, meaning
Oh,
it's Zombieland meets Star Wars or something. You know, I feel like saying those keywords um, can help you connect with that niche. Um, Although there is the other side of me where I'm like, you know what? I don't want my books to be like something that's out there. I don't want my books to be like Zombieland. I don't want it to be like Star Wars because those things already exist. This is its own thing. This is different. You should pick it up because it's different.
right.
But I mean, for example, I'm going back to as I do shows and stuff. as soon as I have a book called Robo Prehistoric Wizard, and my I pitch it. I kind of say the concept, but then at the end, I say it's essentially it's Jurassic Park meets The Hobbit, and like as soon as I say that, people like instantly connect.
There
You
you
know,
go. Yeah.
it's like you find that niche. They're like, oh, I like dinosaurs and I love Jurassic Park. The Hobbit, I like fantasy, kind of just more maybe like an all ages thing because the Hobbit as opposed to Lord of the Rings is a little more all ages rather than Lord of the Rings is a little bit more mature.
Right.
So as soon as they hear that hobbits being chased by dinosaurs or something, that like goes through their mind, and it's like, oh, suddenly I found that niche, um, and like it appeals to them directly.
Yep.
So I don't know. Do you kind of picture stuff like that, or think because it almost seems like every indie comic you come across these days does that because you need that instant recognition to find those people that are drawn to those types of stories.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean by like keywords. Because I used to just call my book Air Rider, and people will assume it's like some pilot kid or something. Like,
Yeah,
well,
it's like
what does Air Rider mean? Like, he rides a
Airboy.
yeah,
The comic Airboy.
yeah, something like that. And once I put the subtitle High School Hero, that made it that instantly cleared it up a little bit more to where people were like, okay, so this is a kid. He's I guess a pilot themed superhero in high school, and give telling people what it's like is giving them an inroads towards what your actual book is about, because it could be about anything, but if you can't summarize it down into like, okay, it's like this meets that, for example, then people are just going to be kind of lost as to what they're getting out of your book. Like Invincible, you get what do you get from Invincible? It's like Justice League meets The
Yeah,
Boys or something. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you can really just summarize it as like, a more. It has like the heart of like Spider-Man or something because of like the young kind of juvenile, tone about it, but then it's mature as hell,
Yeah, it's
like
like super violent. So it's like
yeah,
Spider-Man with ultra violence.
exactly. That's essentially what you get with it. Which if you hear that nowadays, and that's the other thing about making comics, right? Like if you say that nowadays, people might not even bat much of an eye to it because that's being done, and it's after Invincible, and these types of stories are being done with the boys now. It's like almost like okay, if somebody hears like it's Spider-Man but super hyper violent, they're like, okay, that's like every anime I watch, like it's and now it's become to a point where like these things that were successful are becoming saturated. Just like whenever Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, suddenly you had Street Sharks, suddenly you had Bikers from Mars, suddenly you had, whatever else.
Right.
Uh, Mighty Ducks, you remember that one? Did you ever see Mighty Ducks?
The hockey movie, yeah.
No, no, this one's so it was a Disney cartoon where it was actual ducks that were part of a hockey team, but they were also uh superheroes at night. So it was like, yeah, yeah. It was another one of those kind of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle spin-offs. But anyway, um, but yeah, so now it's becoming like these things that are so saturated,
Mhm.
and it's like those niche, like while Invincible may have been niche before, I don't know if it's niche anymore. I feel like Invincible like appeals to such a broad audience now because the viewers and the readers out there are like accustomed to like this new kind of violent age you know of superheroes. So I think that's just the other thing when you're talking about niches and finding it and how to cater to them is, um, you know, you still have to be unique. You know, you still have to stand out. Um, whether that, you know, that's artistically or story driven, or formatting even. You know, it's kind of like this ever complex game that like keeps evolving within indie comics.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's why I'm taking an opposite approach with Air Rider. Whereas, like, I noticed so much hyperviolence in all the superhero media that I'm seeing these days, and I'm like, all right, I want to go in the opposite direction and take people back to when things weren't so violent. So it's like I'm doing like the people in my niche, or at least what I'm finding is like people who like cartoons or like that old stuff from like the early 2000s, like Justice League, like Teen Titans, like Avatar: The Last Airbender. That stuff isn't super violent. It's just a well-told story, and I'm trying to do that in my comic where it's like you don't see random bursts of blood or people just getting like their heads chopped off or whatever. And I think the reason why Invincible and The Boys went so mainstream was because people are already used to TV shows like um, TV shows and movies like the CW, DC shows, and the Marvel movies, but they haven't seen hyperviolence in those types of settings. So when stuff like The Boys comes out, it's like, all right, we're already used to the concept of superheroes, but these guys are actually trying to fight the superheroes, and then there's super violence everywhere, and it's like, it's eye catching, like it grabs your attention immediately. So those kind of blow up. It's not going to be for everybody, but it's going to be for a wide audience that's already used to violence. And then Invincible, people who grew up with shows like Justice League and like the Batman cartoon and all that, they're gonna be like into it just because it's a superhero thing. But then that super violence also keeps you more invested just because violence is such an attention grabber. Like all the red and the blood and like how many different ways can you dismember a human? Like
Yeah.
some of that
Yeah.
stuff I'm tired of,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
like
and if you think about it too, it's like the fans of those properties that you just mentioned, they've aged now,
right,
right? So they're not there for, you know, fun mystery of the week anymore because they're older now. They want to see something more risque, more violent. So it's almost like it's got that nostalgia factor in it, but then it's got like this, you know, violence that an aging person, um, you know, will gravitate more towards. So yeah, I mean it's interesting, man. Kind of finding that balance. You know, I'm still like with my book. You know, I do have violent moments in it, but like you said earlier, like you were talking about how like there's, you know, random, you know, blood and random kind of things. Like when I have my violent moments in my book, I want it to be, you know, in, you know, with intention, with like
right,
situation around it, right? Like if there's a killing, you know, and it's a, you know, a brutal killing or something, like there needs to be substance around it rather than like, you know, oh, someone gets like punched and like, you know, their head pops off or something.
right.
But yeah, because like I mean, with West Not South, I'm kind of, you know, I'm blending kind of so many things together. You know, a very like, you know, Animaniacs cartooniness with it, but then also with like, you know, mature subject matter and stuff, and trying to make it funny and stuff too.
Right.
Um, you know, because sometimes like when there's a story that's too serious, you know, it's almost like it's just too much, and it doesn't keep like the pace going. So I feel like you do kind of need to put like that kind of fun tone towards it as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. So I mean, anything else to say about, you know, finding those niches? Do you have any kind of you know, I'm not great with it. I think my big tip for creators out there, the people who are watching this, who are creating or like, you know, want to create at some point, um, I think that there is, I think I've stated it before, but you know, there's so much value in getting out to shows and finding those people. Um,
Yeah.
especially because you grow your following too, whatever social media you're on, or if it's, you know, email subscriber list or whatever. Those people that come and see you, even if it's an up and coming book, like you don't have your book out yet, but you have stuff for them to see. They'll see it and they'll be drawn to it. You'll find a portion of that niche, and they'll follow you. So even if it's not making a sale, it's them checking yourself out, being drawn to it, which plants the seeds for a fan or a future sale or whatever. So I do think that there's tons of value in attending shows when you're trying to find your niche, especially shows that maybe not every show. I kind of like to be a little selective with my shows, because sometimes these shows are very pop culture centered. Um, and sometimes you can't compete and you can't get the attention of people who are there just to get signatures from like a voice actor or something, because at the end of the day, not everyone reads the actual comic books, which is unfortunate, but it's just nature of the game. So be
Yeah.
selective, but find those shows that can cater towards comics, and then within that, find those people that enjoy your work, because they're going to be out there. They exist. What about you, Ken? You got any kind of last tips?
Yeah, you asked earlier where you would find these niches and groups that talk about the kinds of stuff that you create. And I just go on Facebook, Reddit. I'll look in YouTube comment sections for different videos that I'm interested in. I'll tend to look at like stuff that says like Y2K or like older cartoons. Um, let's say liminal spaces. I like that I found that term a long time ago. It really describes this aesthetic that I was looking at that I really enjoyed, and I've been using that term as a gateway to find other content like that. And
What was that term again?
oh, it was liminal spaces.
Liminal spaces. What? Define that. I'm not too familiar with that one.
Damn, define liminal spaces.
Or
Uh,
it's like because you say you're using it as like a keyword search, right?
yeah,
So
because
like, what are you trying to attract with that keyword?
well, first I saw images and I read a comic book that was kind of that had that same vibe, that had that same feeling. The comic book was called Blame or Blom or whatever. It just looked like blame with an exclamation point. And I wanted more stuff like that, but I didn't know what to call it. That was the thing. And then I accidentally stumbled upon this guy's video that was mentioning it just called liminal spaces. And then the imagery that he was showing looked exactly like what I saw before in the past. And now that it has a term, now it's blown up. It's like blown up to like called like the back rooms or liminal pools or whatever, and it's like this whole aesthetic movement that people are just like. I look in the comment section. I don't even know how to describe
You're still not describing liminal spaces, but it's
exactly
okay.
like
It's
it,
okay. I guess it's one of those things you just have to see to actually understand what that term means.
yeah, it's like a space before and after being inhabited or something like that. And I look in the comment section and people are just like, "Oh, I want to be able to walk in a space like that," or "Oh, I want to." It's so comforting to be alone in a space like that, or all kinds of like different comments that I'm just like, "Yeah, I understand that feeling," and that that's what I get from looking at that stuff.
Huh.
Uh, but yeah, that's the liminal spaces, and I just look at the terms. I look up different terms on Facebook, uh, YouTube, Reddit, and Twitter. It's not so much on Twitter as it is on some of the other sites. And then I want to find two or three groups that are big enough, like wide enough to where I can just talk to them all day. Like I'll look for groups that like cartoons from Cartoon Network from the old days or from current days or whatever, and just talk to them about like, oh yeah, I like this about that and all that, and eventually parlay them over to my own comics.
Yeah. No, that's certainly good advice. I mean, finding that stuff online, I need to do better at that. And kind of find, you know, where the people that would be interested in my work or my style or my stories, where they kind of hang out online. So yeah, super good. I'm gonna have to go and look up liminal spaces now and see. You put like liminal spaces comics, or is it just liminal spaces as like a art concept?
Oh, just liminal spaces as an art concept. Like if you just type in liminal spaces, you'll find a bunch of videos, bunch of images. They look like dreams.
Okay.
That's probably the best way to describe it. They look like your dreams.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I thought you were talking about it in the sense of like a liminal spaced comic or something.
No, 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 no.
Gotcha. I was thinking like panel arrangements and like
No, no, no.
weird something. Yeah.
No, it's a visual aesthetic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Cool, man. Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for this episode. If you viewers out there, you creators out there, you have any kind of tips or anything else to talk about niches or what kind of niche do you fall in? You know, who are you trying to cater to? Are you doing something more mainstream, doing something more indie? We would love to know and kind of spark some discussion down in the comments of this video.
Yeah.
Um, but Ken, where can the good people out there find you? Where can they read Air Rider?
Y'all guys can read Air Rider on Global Comics. That's Global Comics, Comix. You can find me on Twitter most of the time. I'm at the Comiken, and then I'm Comiken on Instagram, and the Comiken on Reddit, Facebook, YouTube, anywhere you can find me.
Nice, nice, nice. You can find me on Instagram at Nico Writes and Nico Writes on Twitter. You can follow me on Substack at nicorodriguez.substack.com, posting updates there, mini comics, all sorts of cool creative stuff. Be on the lookout for my upcoming graphic novel called West Not South. It's going to be an awesome, fun, surreal, funny, violent graphic novel and story for you guys to read. I'm going to be having awesome prints of the first chapter available at my shows and everything that I go to. So if you guys want to get a first look at it, it's going to be there. But without further ado, that does it for this episode. We will see you guys next week.
Wait, hold on. Let's hold up our books.
Hold up the books.
Yeah, book. Yeah, there we go. And then our end card will come out. Yeah.